All right, today we're diving into an incredible story from the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata. And this isn't just any old tale. It's about duty, destiny, and a really tough choice between your own spiritual path and the fate of, well, everyone who came before you. So let's just jump right in with a question that gets to the heart of this whole thing. What if? What if the salvation of your entire family tree, every single ancestor you have, was hanging by a single tiny thread, and you're the one holding it? Okay, so our story kicks off with a guy named Jaratkaru. He's a rishi, a sage, on this really intense spiritual quest. But his whole world, this life of extreme discipline he's built, is about to get completely turned upside down by a vision, something he should never have been able to see. And look, Jaratkaru wasn't just your average sage. I mean, this guy was the real deal, a hardcore ascetic. His whole life was about renouncing everything, all worldly pleasures. The text says he literally lived on air. Can you imagine? His body was getting more and more emaciated, but his spiritual power, that was growing stronger every single day. But then, one day, everything changed. While he's out roaming, he sees something that just stops him dead in his tracks. A vision so weird, so unbelievably desperate, it's gonna change his life forever. So what does he see? He sees these spirits, the souls of men, hanging upside down in a giant hole. And they're not just floating there, they're clinging to a single cord of roots. But here's the kicker. There's only one strand of that cord left, and a big rat is just gnawing away at it. I mean, their fate is literally hanging by a thread. It could snap at any second. Jaratkaru sees this, and he's just moved by how awful it is. He doesn't even think twice. He goes right up to them and offers the only thing he has of any value, all that spiritual power he's built up over a lifetime of penance. Yeah, this spiritual merit is called tapasya. You can think of it as this incredible power you gain from extreme self-discipline and hardship. And Jaratkaru, he was ready to give every last drop of it away, to sacrifice his entire life's work for people he thought were complete strangers. But here's where it gets wild. The spirits, they reject his offer. They tell him, thanks but no thanks. Your spiritual power can't help us. And then they drop the bombshell. They're not strangers. They're his Pitrs, his own ancestors. And their problem? It had nothing to do with spirituality. You see, in this tradition, the Pitrs, the spirits of your ancestors, they actually depend on the living. They need their descendants to perform certain rituals. But the big one, the most important thing, is that the family line has to continue. If it doesn't, they're basically lost. And that was the crazy part. The one thing that could save his ancestors wasn't more penance, wasn't more spiritual power. Nope, it was the one thing he had completely rejected: a child. Their salvation required a family. So then his ancestors start to break it all down for him. They explain that the whole vision he saw wasn't random. Every single scary detail, the pit, the rope, that rat, it was all a powerful symbol for what was actually happening to them. The rope? That was their family line, their clan. The rat? That was time just relentlessly chewing away at everything. And that single, last, fraying thread keeping them from falling into nothingness? Well, that was their last living descendant. Now get this, the ancestors, these still have no idea who they're talking to, and they start describing this last descendant, this one last hope they have to save them from total oblivion. They're perfectly describing their last hope as this great ascetic who is so lost in his own spiritual world that his family line is about to just disappear. They are, of course, describing the very man standing right in front of that. So they're begging this stranger, him, please find this Jaratkaru. Tell him he has to take a wife. He has to have a son. He has to save us. They have absolutely no clue that their message has already been delivered. Because the man they were looking for, that final thread, it was him, Jaratkaru. You can just imagine, in that single moment, the weight of every single one of his ancestors landing right on his shoulders. So this revelation just throws Jaratkaru into an impossible situation. He's now stuck between two duties that are polar opposites. Think about it. On one hand, you've got the path of penance. That's his personal vow, his whole life's work, a life of solitude that saves him. On the other hand, you've got the path of progeny. That's his ancestral duty, a life with a wife and a son, which saves his entire lineage. And his ancestors make the stakes crystal clear. They basically tell him, look, your asceticism, it's not gonna save us. No amount of tapasya, no ritual, nothing is more important than having a son. And that's where this ancient story leaves us, with this huge, timeless question. What's the greater calling? Is it the path to your own self-realization, or is it your duty to others, to the very people who gave you life? It's this epic choice between the self and the group. And honestly, that's a dilemma that feels just as real today, doesn't it?